Hello, welcome to FHE on the Road with Christine Stevenson. This podcast is designed to connect the people and the places from the past with your lives today, with 5-minute stories and facts from church history. Save these stories for when you are traveling through these areas to bring history to life. Okay, welcome back to FHE on the Road. Today we're going to talk about the John Johnson Farm in Hiram, Ohio. My family was lucky enough to be able to go out to these sites this summer. I have been wanting to go out to these sites since I can remember. I think at least junior high when I started reading Work in the Glory. I love those books. I still love them. Going and seeing these places that have meant so much to church history it was a great experience. And it was fun too to see the contrast between, like, we would get really tired and ornery and kind of frustrated with each other, and then getting out and visiting these sites, and it would just fill us right back up, and we'd be so excited to be able to go on, because driving from Utah to Palmyra, New York is kind of challenging. But it was so fun, and I'm so glad we were able to see these sites, and it's just something that we can remember forever. And I'm so grateful that the church has preserved these sites for us to be able to go and see where these miraculous events took place. I love it. Anyways, so the John Johnson Farm is in Hiram, Ohio, and it served as church headquarters of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Joseph and Emma lived in this home with the Johnson family for about a year during the Kirtland era. 16 revelations were received in the John Johnson home, and I have a link on my website if you want to go read more about the revelations that were received there. The prophet Joseph Smith continued his work in translating the Bible in the upper room of the John Johnson home. And in the John Johnson home, Joseph received the revelation in Doctrine and Covenants 76. In this revelation, both Joseph and Sidney both saw God the Father and Jesus Christ. And they learned about the 3 degrees of glory. So that happened in the John Johnson Farm. So it's pretty awesome. And I love that it's preserved today to go and see for yourself. I love seeing these little rooms where these miraculous manifestations took place. The John Johnson Farm is a pretty big, awesome farm too. But I love that this family opened their home up to the prophet and were able to have these amazing things happen there. It was in the John Johnson Farm where both Joseph and Sidney was, I think he was not in the home, but where Joseph and Sidney were both dragged out by mobs in the night and tarred and feathered. And I have a link to that. That is one of the terrible stories in church history, especially what had happened to Sidney after that, because he never really recovered from that mob attack. It's terrible. It really is terrible. The Johnson family was converted to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints when Elsa Johnson was miraculously healed of rheumatism in her shoulder. And I have to tell that story one day because it is so amazing. So they were converted from that. 2 of the sons, Luke and Lyman Johnson, became members of the original Quorum of the 12 Apostles, and the Johnsons' daughter, Miranda, married Orson Hyde. The Johnsons ended up falling away from the church in 1837. So it didn't last long. So they fell away from the church in 1837, although Luke ended up returning to the faith and traveled with the saints to Utah. So Father Johnson died in 1843 in Kirtland, is where he's buried. And the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints bought the farm in 1956 and restored it, and tours are available. It was an awesome tour. It's a little bit out of the way, and you kind of think you've driven a while, and do you really need to go see it? And yes, the answer is yes. I really, really liked the John Johnson Farm. I thought that it gives you such a view of what happened during those times. I think it would be so exciting to be part of the newly restored gospel, and I love that we are able to go back and see these areas. I love that Heavenly Father has blessed us with this knowledge, and that it all started in these backwoods areas of farms. So it's kind of fun. Anyways, hopefully you can make it out to the John Johnson Farm, or hopefully you learned something here. It's pretty awesome. Thanks. Thank you for listening to FHE on the Road today. We hope you enjoyed what you've heard. Please like, subscribe, and share with anyone who'd be interested in these stories. Thanks.